So we will pay our attention today to discuss one of the dramas that you have that is actually prescribed for your ordinary level examination when it comes to English literature. The drama is the Bear by Anton Chekhov, and this drama can be identified as a farce, or else we call a comedy. Basically, when we discuss about comedies when it comes to literature, there are two types of comedies where we have the romantic comedies introduced by William Shakespeare, where most of the comic elements can be seen through romanticism. On the other hand, we can see comedies which clearly shows the weaknesses of human beings. When it comes to Anton Chekhov, most of the dramas written by Anton Chekhov based on this category where Anton Chekhov tries to explain human weaknesses in almost all the dramas. If you refer to this drama, The Bear by Anton Chekhov, if you refer to other dramas like The Marriage Proposal, The Cherry Orchard, if you refer to all these dramas, you can clearly understand Anton Chekhov places his attention clearly towards the human weaknesses. Even though you come from a first-class family, second-class family, even though you come from a rich family, doesn't matter. People do mistakes. People have a lot of weaknesses. So here what we can understand is that when the drama is presented in a more creative manner, certain human weaknesses are also presented. So as a student, you have to understand this. These human weaknesses are actually referred to with a sense of humor. So that is why the drama is known as a farce. So the word farce is very similar to the word comedy. So this drama becomes a comedy because of the human weaknesses. So certain weaknesses of certain characters are clearly depicted in the drama. As I explained to you last week, when it comes to Anton Chekhov, he can be taken as a dramatist who is very much famous when it comes to the realistic drama. So almost all these characters are representing our day-to-day society, where each and every day we meet this type of characters. If you refer to Popova, Smirnov, Nikolai Mihailovich, so all these characters in our day-to-day life we meet. So they are not abnormal characters, but their behavior is very absurd, right? So because of this absurd behavior, or else we call unusual behavior, lot of humor is introduced in the drama. This is what you have to understand. So let's go to the question. I hope that you guys can see the question on the screen. Last week we discussed the opening paragraph, or else we call the introductory paragraph, and today we are going to discuss the answer in detail. Right, let's pay your attention towards the question. I hope you guys can see the screen. Explain the suitability of literary devices used in the drama The Bear to make the play humorous. Now, they have directly asked the question in 2021 ordinary level exam. If you pay your attention, you can clearly realize they are directly asking about the literary devices. So you don't have to think a lot. Now, this type of questions are very easy to answer, my dear students, because they have directly asked the literary devices. So you don't have to have any idea or else any opinion which is relevant to you here, because we all know that what kind of literary devices are used in this drama. So you have to show that by referring to these literary techniques, how humor is produced, how laughter is produced in the drama. Most of the students, they write only the literary devices. That is not going to work, because make sure to understand, we have to give all the literary devices at the same time. We have to show that because of this particular literary device, humor is generated, or else laughter is generated. I think this part we completed last week, so we will go through in a nutshell about the introductory paragraph. As I told you, always make sure to remember, when it comes to literature, your introductory paragraph is very much subjective. My introductory paragraph will be totally different from your paragraph. That is completely okay. But basically, there are basic things that you have to realize when it comes to introductory paragraphs. Number one, you have to give some kind of substantial information about the dramatist, or else the poet, or else the poetess, or else the novelist, or else the short story writer. Then you have to give some idea about the poem, or else the drama, or else the short story in a nutshell. And then you have to connect the particular question with the drama, with the poem, when you are going to answer. So this connection is the most important thing that you have to pay your attention. If you refer to these answers, each and every paragraph, I tried my level best to connect the question with the answer. Each and every paragraph, I use some of the words from the question. Then the person who is marking your paper will have some kind of understanding. He will be aware that the student is writing answers according to the question. because sometimes when we are writing answers, we forget the question. We write whatever the things that we like. That cannot be happen. So what are the most important two things that you have to remember when it comes to this drama, when it comes to this question? I'm sorry. The first one is the literary devices. The second one is they are arousing humor. So you have to connect these things together. So this is the introductory paragraph, as you can see on the screen. Anton Pavlov Chekhov was born on January 29, 1860. In Taganrog, Russia. Chekhov wrote many of his greatest works from 1890s through the last few years of his life. In his short stories of that period, including Ward Number 6 and The Lady with the Dog, he revealed a profound understanding of human nature and the ways in which ordinary events can carry deeper meaning. This part is something very much important that you have to pay your attention, my dear students. When you take a writer like Anton Chekhov, he is very much special to us because of his ability to show us the human nature, right? The human nature by referring to simple incidents, right? If you go through his dramas, what we can understand is that he is not talking about unusual incidents, or else he is not talking about fairy tales. He talks about general incidents that we face in our day-to-day life. By explaining these incidents, he clearly shows us the weaknesses of human beings, and he criticizes them in a creative manner. He criticizes them in a creative manner, right? If you refer to Popova's character, if you refer to Smirnov's character, they all have weaknesses. So all these weaknesses are brought to us in a creative manner. They are selfish, right? They are stingy, right? They love money and they will do anything for the sake of money. They are not emotional. They will do anything for the sake of money. So these are the weaknesses. They are pretenders, right? If you refer to Popova's character, she is a pretender. She said that she will love her late husband until she dies. But later we can realize that she is kissing this unknown man, the stranger, after knowing that this unknown man is a very wealthy person and a talented person. So you can clearly understand there are certain weaknesses. And all these weaknesses brought out to the stage by Anton Chekhov. So all these weaknesses are very simple. By referring to simple incidents, a powerful, deeper message about human life, human psychology is actually brought into consideration by Anton Chekhov. This is why he is very much special. Not like Twilight of Train by Yasuo Junji Kinoshita. So we have a very different characteristics when we refer to the both two dramatists. Where you refer to Yasuo Junji Kinoshita, he is more into the Second World War and whatever the changes that occurred in the Japanese society during the time period of Second World War is taken into the consideration. But here, when we take Anton Chekhov, he did not have that kind of background. So he directly criticized whatever the weaknesses that he can understand in the Russian society, contemporary Russian society, especially when it comes to the high class people, or else we call them nobles, right? So as you can remember, the Russian society is actually divided into three pillars, right? The first pillar can be identified as the king. The second pillar can be identified as the nobles. The third pillar can be identified as the peasants. So when you are getting ready for the exam, make sure to understand these three pillars: kings, nobles, and the peasants. So Popova, Smirnov, Nikolai Mihailovich, they all belong to the category of nobles. Luka, Garcia, Pegalia, they all belong to the category of peasants. So you have to remember these things, very important, right? So I think we completed this part. The Bear is a drama which illustrates the deeper psychological emotions of men and women in a hilarious manner. This is also something very much important that you have to pay your attention, right? Deeper psychological emotions of men and women in a hilarious manner. So hilarious means humor, right? In this drama, we can identify a lot of humor. So this humorous act is clearly depicted in the drama if you pay your attention. And the dramatist has utilized number of literary devices. Don't forget the question, my dear students. The dramatist has used number of literary devices. So we are going to find out what are the literary devices and how dramatist has shown this hilarious aspect, or else the laughter, or else humor when it comes to the literary devices. This is what we are going to learn. Okay, I hope that you guys have completed this part. We will move on to the second part. The entire drama is full of similes and metaphors. This is the first literary device that we are going to discuss. As you can see here on the screen, you can highlight that similes and metaphors. What is the difference of simile and a metaphor? If you take a simile, simile can be identified as an indirect comparison. Metaphor can be identified as a direct comparison. If you refer to the drama, if you read the script very carefully, you can find out number of similes and metaphors. By referring to these similes and metaphors, laughter is generated in several locations. This is something very much important as students that you can find out. Make sure to remember they are directly asking the literary devices. So this question is not about literature. This question is about language. When you take English literature as a subject, you have basically two types of questions. Either they will ask a language question. If it is a language question, the question is based on literary devices. If it is a poem, poetic devices. If it is a short story, literary devices. If it is a drama, dramatic devices. If it is a literature question, definitely your question is based on the particular theme that you are going to discuss in that particular drama or else short story or else the novel. Now here what you can understand is that this is a language question. This is not a literature question where they don't ask about the society, war or any other thing relevant to this drama. They are asking about the literary devices and how these literary devices enhance the humorous quality of the drama. Make sure to remember that thing. So now we are going to discuss about the similes and metaphors, which clearly evokes the humor in the drama. Both Smirnov and Popova use similes and metaphors to insult each other, to humiliate each other. This part is very much important. To insult each other, to humiliate each other. That part is very much important. If you have any questions, please make sure to send me. Yeah, exactly, Ravina. Now, when you are laughing for the weaknesses, actually, when we laugh a certain weakness of a certain character, we are laughing to ourselves. That is the irony. Now, when we refer to Popova's character, when we refer to Smirnov's character, each and every one of us, right, will definitely have at least one characteristic depicted by Popova or depicted by Smirnov. Both of them are becoming slaves to their emotions. Both of them are becoming slaves to their emotions. So this is something common. We all human beings are like that. In front of a beautiful girl, we all become slaves for the emotions. In front of a smart boy, or else it can be K-pop, or else what is that group? Army, what is that? BTS. Almost all the girls will be slaves to their emotions. That is the truth. So we are like that. We have to agree with that fact. That is what I said. Human weaknesses, when he is depicting all the human weaknesses, as the audience, what we have to understand is that, okay, he is not only referring these characteristics from the characters, but when we are watching the drama, as the audience, we can understand our characteristics are also very same. So you cannot elope, you cannot escape from the reality. That is why Anton Chekhov can be identified as one of the best dramatists who wrote about the reality. Not like other dramatists, right? Most of them have a lot of other themes, but Anton Chekhov, he always wanted to explain the reality. Very good question, Ravina. Even Luca, as the footman, uses wonderful similes and metaphors to explain the reality of life to her landlady. So Luca is working as the footman to the landlady called Popova. These examples will clearly evoke the humor and laughter in the drama, and this is a fundamental literary technique. Make sure to remember, as you can see here on the screen, I am connecting the question with the answer. These are the words that I have taken from the question. Literary technique, right? These words I have taken directly from the question, and here I have used the word humor. In several places, I have used the word humor because I wanted to prove the fact that I am writing according to the question. My sole purpose is to show to the examiner that I am writing according to the question. I am not writing something which is not relevant to the question. I'm always writing according to the question. This is what I wanted to show. Right. So we are discussing about similes and metaphors. So I have explained about that. In the next slide, we will discuss some of the examples related to the similes and metaphors. Please highlight that and write down. Then we will move on to the next part. Please pass me a message after completing. If you have any questions, please make sure to ask without having any second thoughts. Your questions are always welcome. So now you can understand our first literary device is actually similes and metaphors. As I told you, there are a lot of literary devices, but make sure to understand we are paying our attention towards similes and metaphors. Now we have to show that what kind of humor, what kind of laughter is produced by Anton Chekhov by using different types of similes and metaphors. First and foremost, you have to understand the difference between similes and metaphors. A simile can be identified as a literary device we use to do indirect comparison, and metaphor can be taken as something for direct comparison, right? So the difference is actually direct comparison and indirect comparison, right? If you say my sister's face is like a flower, that can be identified as a simile. But if you say my sister's face is a flower, that can be identified as a metaphor. So metaphor and simile, that is the basic difference. Okay, right. Let's see some examples. These are the examples that you can find out from the story, right? So I have taken only few examples. There are a lot of examples. All these examples clearly show you what kind of metaphors and similes that they have used. Only you sit in this room all day as if this was a convent. So here, if you pay your attention, you can find out the simile, right? So here the first one, this can be identified as a simile, right? This is a simile because we have the word this, right? We live, so to speak, like spiders and never see the light. So another simile, as you can see on the screen, you can write down them inside the quotation marks. In 10 years time, you will want to be a peahen yourself. You will want to be a peahen. So here, clearly, Luca compares Popova into a peahen. Peahen is the female animal of the peacock, right? So you will become a peahen. You will be unattractive to the people. So this can be identified as a metaphor, right? This can be identified as a metaphor. You can write down, I loved him passionately with all my being, as only a young and imaginative woman can love. So it clearly explains about Popova's unconditional love towards her previous husband, Nikolai Mihailovich. So here also we can identify a simile, right? Here also we can identify a simile, right? I worshipped him as if I were a heathen. So here also you have a simile. So if you can clearly refer to this, you can clearly understand a lot of similes and metaphors are used in the drama in order to evoke humor, right? In order to evoke humor. This is what you can understand. If you refer to the first simile, only you sit in this room all day as if this was a convent and don't take any pleasure. This is said by Luca when Popova is actually sitting all day without thinking about her future. She is actually weeping because of her previous husband's death. According to her, she lost all her happiness because her previous husband died. So according to her, she is having a dull life and her love will be there forever until she dies for her previous husband, even though Nikolai Mihailovich is an unfaithful husband. If you take the second example, we live, so to speak, like spiders and never see the light. This is actually said by Luca, if you can remember, where he said that, Madam, we should not be like spiders, where spiders will never come out to see the light. You are also like a spider. So this is actually full of humor because we cannot compare human beings to the animals. Can you understand that? We can't compare human beings to the animals. Spiders are different and human beings are different. But according to him, he says, Madam, you are like a spider. You never come to see the light. Now your previous husband died. Now you have to move on. As an example, look at me. My wife also died, right? But I only cried for a month. Then I stopped that. So we have to move on. That is the universal truth. Even Popova knows that, but Popova does not want to show that to the outside. She wanted to pretend to the outside world that she is a very faithful wife. But at the end of the day, as the audience, we can really understand that, okay, Popova is a pretentious lady. She's a pretentious lady. She is not faithful. That is why at the end of the day, she kisses the stranger. You can clearly understand she is burning inside for another man. But unfortunately, the pressure that came from the contemporary Russian society, the male domination, did not allow her to have another man. That is what happens. Remember, these characters are pretentious. What do you mean by pretentious? They are larger than life, right? But they said is not what they meant. You can clearly understand they are dual life. I loved him passionately with all my being, as only a young and imaginative woman can love. From this simile, we can clearly understand Popova's unconditional love. But later we realize that this love is not unconditional, because soon after the arrival of Smirnov, she falls in love with Smirnov. So we can clearly understand this is also a pretentious attitude, pretentious characteristic depicted from Popova's character. I worshipped him as if I were a heathen. So she clearly explained that what kind of unconditional love that she had towards this man. But later we can realize how she fell in love with that unknown person, the same person that she humiliated as the bourbon, as the bear. Can you remember, my dear students? What are the words used by her? You are a bear, you are a monster, you are a bourbon. But at the end of the day, even we can't understand the same lady humiliated, neglected, ill-treated this man, falls in love with the same man. When Luca is coming with the shovel, he was shocked, because even he can't understand how this lady can start this kind of relationship. Because 5 or 6 minutes ago, they were ready to have a duel. They were ready to shoot each other. But after some time, they were kissing each other when Popova comes to save the landlady. I think you guys have finished. Shall we move on to the next part? I think you can clearly understand. If you have any problems, my dear students, please make sure to ask. Today we are going to discuss about different types of literary devices used by Anton Chekhov in order to create humor in his drama, The Bear. Hurry up. I hope you guys have finished. Yehan sir, can you please pass me a message to her? What about the other students? Can you please pass me a message? Shall we move on to the next part? We are still discussing about different types of similes and metaphors. We have a lot to discuss. There are a lot of literary devices. Okay, I hope that you guys have finished. There are other examples as well. You can write down one by one. We are moving to the other examples. As you can see here on the screen, there lives the mysterious Tamara, who for the love of her husband. So Tamara is actually taken as a goddess who showed much love towards her husband. So Tamara can be identified as a symbol as well, right? So Tamara can be identified as a goddess who showed much love towards her husband. So Smirnov is making some kind of laughter, right? Some kind of laughter, or else some kind of humiliation. Some kind of humiliation towards Popova, where he openly says that, are you going to tell me that you are also like mysterious Tamara, the goddess who showed a lot of love towards her husband? I don't see that kind of practical women in this world, because I have associated 12 women and 9 women have refused me. So in my life, I have never seen a Tamara. So this clearly shows you a metaphor where Smirnov is clearly comparing Popova towards this goddess. I used to chatter like a magpie about emancipation. Like, so here we have a simile. From this quotation, we can clearly understand what kind of experiences that Smirnov had about women. Don't forget, both of them suffocated because of men and women. Even Smirnov, even Popova, they both suffocated from love. So at the end of the day, my dear students, it is quite justifiable, isn't it? Right? It is quite justifiable. A few examples are more than enough, but make sure to remember, the more you write, the more you get the marks. Right? The more you write, the more you get marks. So it is up to you. But my responsibility is to explain all the examples that you have. You can write whatever things that you like. Right. I used to chatter like a magpie about emancipation. You are a boar, a coarse bear, a bourbon, a monster. One of the most important quotations that we can identify from the story, the drama. Actually, the drama is known as the bear because of this utterance. The drama is known as the bear because of this utterance. Where Popova cannot stand Luca's behavior inside the house. So as a result of that, at the end of the day, she uses some kind of vulgar words towards Smirnov. These are the words actually used by him. You are a boar, a coarse bear, a bourbon, a monster. So the word bear is actually can be identified as a metaphor. It is a direct comparison. But make sure to remember, because of these vulgar qualities only, Popova loved him. Even though bear can be taken as a vulgar animal, due to these qualities only, Popova liked him. Popova liked him due to these qualities because Popova really enjoyed them, right? Popova liked him because of the vulgar qualities depicted from him. He's a strong man and he is a lieutenant and he can handle most of the weapons and he has got a huge monthly income and fine horses. So all these things are taken into consideration by Popova. Remember that. Just because you are a poetic creature, you can insult me with impunity. Now here also we have a metaphor where Smirnov directly compares Popova to a poetic creature. Women are known as poetic creatures because most of the poems are written about the moon and about the women. Can you understand? So women are taken here as poetic creatures. Make sure to remember. So Smirnov openly says that just because you are a poetic creature, you cannot insult me like that. Since because you are a nice lady, you don't have any right to insult me like that. I will bring her down like a chicken. So these examples are very simple. You can very easily remember them. A real woman, not a soft-faced jelly bag, but fire, gunpowder, a rocket. Very powerful metaphor. Very powerful metaphor where the metamorphosis actually takes place in this drama with this quotation. Very important quotation where Smirnov's love, Smirnov's metamorphosis or complete change occurs here where throughout the drama he insults, he neglects, he ill-treats, he humiliates the lady. But from this particular quotation, we can understand everything changed. Everything changed. He has never seen such a brave woman. So as a result of that, he fell in love with this woman. This is what we call complicated human behavior. Human beings are very much complicated. Few minutes ago, he wanted to kill this lady. He wanted to take his money on that day itself. But now, after some moments, he is ready to love her. He is ready to give up his debts. He did not need his money. So you can clearly understand human behavior, right? So this is what you have to understand in the drama. The last part, I don't know whether you guys can see. I hope you guys can see the last part. I don't care about this softer sex. Softer sex is a metaphor. It directly compared to the women. So women are taken as softer sex. Their sex is much more softer than human being, which means males. Females are much more softer than males. That is the idea. So that can be also identified as a metaphor. So these are the basic metaphors and similes. As one question raised, as one student raised the question, so do we have to write all the examples? No, you don't. You don't have to. But the more you write, your answer will be more fruitful. So that is why I gave you almost all the similes, but you have a lot. You have a hell of a lot, right? So I have selected only few. If you have finished, you can pass me a message. So by referring to all these metaphors and similes, we can clearly realize the humiliation, the ill-treatment, the neglection is clearly depicted between Popova and Smirnov, which creates humor, which creates laughter. As the audience, we can really enjoy their humiliation, how they ill-treat, how they neglect each other, right? All these examples clearly brings us a lot of humor. So most of the humor is generated in the drama by referring to a lot of metaphors and similes. I hope you guys can understand. If you have any questions, please make sure to ask. Other students, please make sure to send me a message if you have finished. Then we will move on to the next part. Please pass me a message if you completed. Right. So we discussed about different types of similes and metaphors. I hope that you guys have completed. Then we will move on to the next part. Another powerful literary device used by the dramatist is symbols. So symbols can be identified as another very powerful literary device, as you can see on the screen. Symbols, right? There are a number of symbols in the drama which collectively contribute to the idea of humor. Popova's late husband's photo is a symbol of her love and past memory. She utters all the monologues to a dead man's photo, which is useless. Most importantly, she uses the word bad child. She uses the word bad child to her previous husband. We all know he did not engage in any childish work. We all know that he is an adult. He is not a child. So by using these words, we can clearly realize humor is generated. This creates humor in the drama through symbols. So the first symbol that we have taken, Popova's late husband's photo. So if you refer to the drama very carefully, you can remember, right, how she utters so many things about her love and how her previous husband used to cheat on her, right? Cheat on her. Where he used to have a lot of relationships with other women. So even though he cheated on her, Popova showed her real love and affection towards her previous husband. The best example is the symbol of her love and past memory, the photo. And by looking at the photo, she says, "You are a bad child." But we can understand it is actually very much humorous because he is not a child. He did not do any childish things, right? He is a grown-up man. But his behavior is not something that we all can accept, right? So this is actually can be identified as one symbol. So you can write down. Now we finished discussing about metaphors and similes. Now we are discussing about the symbols. If you have finished, please pass me a message. We can move on to the next part. So the quotation is given here. So you can refer to the quotation as well. Right. Shall we move on to the next part? Right. So I hope that you guys have finished. We will move on to the next part. Right. Okay. Is there anyone who is still writing? I hope not. Right. Okay. Another powerful symbol which evoked humor in the drama is Popoa's love and affection to a horse called Toby. Now, this is something again very much important, which creates a lot of humor. At the very beginning of the drama, Popoa always told Luca, give extra oats to Toby. If you can remember, while they were having some conversation, she always told that Luca, make sure to give extra oats to Toby. Where some kind of specialty is given to the horse called Toby when we refer to the other horses. The idea behind this is that when Nikolai Mihailovich was alive, Toby can be identified as the most favorite horse of this particular person, which means Popova's previous husband. So Toby is clearly resembling or else symbolically representing Popova's previous husband. That is why in the drama she asks, make sure to give extra oats to Toby. This can be clearly identified when it comes to the latter part of the drama, where soon after Popova kissed Smirnov, when Luca is coming with the shovel to save her, the utterance made by Popova is, Luca, there is no need of giving extra oats to Toby, which clearly shows us symbolically that she has found her new horse. She has found her new horse. She has found her husband, new husband. So Toby will not be taken into consideration, which means that symbolically we can understand she has forgotten her previous husband because she has found a new husband. So Toby's character clearly shows us Popova's love towards her previous husband. At the same time, the treatment, the special treatment given to Toby clearly shows us what kind of love that she had towards her previous husband. Latter part of the drama, when she rejects Toby, again it shows us how she rejected her previous husband and her love that she delivered for her previous husband. So Toby can be identified as a very powerful symbol, right? You can write down as you can see on the screen. Another powerful symbol which evoked humor in the drama is Popova's love and affection to a horse called Toby. So Toby can be identified as a special horse. Toby is the favorite horse of Popova's late husband. The horse resembled, right? Resembled means represented her love which still prevailed for her previous husband. To quote from the text, do you remember Toby? Toby, tell them to give him an extra oats. Right? Extra oats, feed of oats, extra feed of oats. This is what she said. But later we can realize after meeting Smirnov, she says not to give extra oats to Toby. So this is what you can understand. Hurry up and write down. We are still referring to the different types of symbols as literary devices and how the dramatist has utilize them in order to bring the laughter or humor in the drama. So as the audience, it brings us a lot of humor, her special treatment, and how she rejected that special treatment at the end of the day. Right. So now we discussed about two similes, and now altogether we discussed about different types of literary techniques. I hope you guys can understand. Now we will move on to other techniques and let's find out how it evokes laughter. Right. Now this part is actually the same part which you have to continue. But soon after she met Smirnov, she forgets about Toby and asks Luca not to give extra oats to Toby. This is something very much important where the laughter is evoked, where she directly says not to give extra oats to Toby. This symbolically suggests us her love towards her previous husband is already finished. This symbolically creates humor in our mind. How fast a person can change his or her emotions and the complexity of human emotions are presented with a good sense of humor. Don't forget the question, humor, good sense of humor, right? To quote from the text, lowering her eyes, Luca tell them in the stables that Toby is not to have any oats at all today. No point of giving oats to Toby because I have found my new Toby. So there is no point of paying attention towards the old one. This clearly shows us, symbolically creates humor. As you can see on the screen, I have highlighted certain parts, right? And the complexity of human emotions as well. How complex or else how complicated our human emotions are. Very much important. Okay, if you have finished, please pass me a message. We can go to another question today. Right, okay, I hope you guys have finished. Right, now you can understand how symbols are used. Now we discussed a lot of literary devices. We discussed about metaphors, similes, and symbols. Right. Title of the play The Bear is a symbol for a rude, bad-mannered, and bad-tempered person. The below quotation is taken as an example to show the behavior of Smirnov. This evokes much humor when the lady used to shout as loud as she can. Even though Popova insulted Smirnov with impunity, the vulgar characteristics mentioned in Smirnov's character doubtlessly attracted Popova to Smirnov as well. So this is the last symbol that I am going to discuss. Here we can clearly understand that Popova is criticizing or else trying to humiliate Smirnov by using the word the bear. So the title of the play is also bear. This is something very much important because even though she said that you are a bear, make sure to remember bear is a different type of an animal where with a lot of vulgar characteristics can be seen. They are doubtlessly attracted Popova to Smirnov because of those vulgar characteristics. Only at the end of the day, Popova really liked Smirnov. This is what we call absurd behavior, right? This is what we call absurd behavior. Right. Others, please hurry up. Right. Shall we move on to the next part? Did you finish? That is a good one. Basically, it is a according to my personal point of view. Now we are going to discuss some questions related to the short stories. According to my personal point of view, the most easy prose will be Lahore attack. Language is easy, themes are limited. Most of the themes are based on patriotism and leadership. So you can target that question very easily. When we compare other prose passages, obviously the lumber room will be a difficult one because the language is a little bit difficult to understand. Then if you take Nightingale and the Rose by Oscar Wilde is also a little bit difficult to understand because of the language. If I were you, definitely I will go through with Lahore attack, and as an option, I will definitely keep Sonali Dharaniyagala's story, The Wave. Today we are going to discuss The Wave as well. As soon as we finish this part, we are going to discuss some prose questions related to 2021 ordinary level paper. Right? Right. I hope that you guys have completed. Right. We can move on to the other parts. Please hurry up. Right. Okay, so we will move on to the other characteristics. Contrast. Now we have finished symbols, metaphors, similes. Now we are dealing with contrast. Contrast is engaged as another significant literary device in the drama. The characters are presented with irony and contrast. Irony and contrast, right? Irony refers to what is said is not what is meant. Contrast means so many differences can be seen when we refer to the characters. Their behavior itself is highly humorous, right? Because of contrast, humor is clearly generated. This is also what we call absurd behavior of the characters. This is also what we call absurd behavior. The drama becomes a humorous drama or else a farce due to the unusual behavior. Unusual behavior. Another word for unusual behavior is absurd behavior. Unusual behavior, right? Absurd behavior. Popova is in deep mourning, shows her faithfulness to her unfaithful, cruel husband. Can you understand? Contrast. Her faithfulness towards her unfaithful husband. This is what we call contrast. This is what we call contrast, right? A literary device, right? Contrast, right? Popova is in deep mourning, shows her faithfulness to her unfaithful, cruel husband. This evokes laughter again. Don't forget the question. This evokes laughter again. If her husband is unfaithful and dead, if her husband is unfaithful and dead, what is the meaning of being faithful to him even after his death? This clearly evokes humor. Can you understand? What is the meaning of being faithful to him even after his death? Right? So I have given the quotation. You don't have to write the entire quotation, only write 2 lines. That is more than enough, right? 2 lines are more than enough. Don't write the entire quotation. 2 lines are more than enough. 2 lines are more than enough. Don't write the entire quotation. Huh? 2 lines are more than enough. Right? Did you finish? Shall we move on to the next part? Please pass me a message, Puka. Hurry up. Right, okay. I'm going to erase this. So we have taken contrast, right? Basically, 4 literary devices are more than enough. Let's go for another event. Smirnov comes to ask for his debts after 7 months. So he came to Popova's house after 7 months, right? He came to ask for his debts after 7 months. And he seems in a hurry, which means that he can stay for 7 months. He can stay for 7 months, but soon after he came to the house, he can't stay. He needed his money on that day itself. So this is little bit absurd, right? Contrast. He can stay for more than 7 months, right? But now it seems that he is in a hurry to take money, right? He waited for more than 7 months after the death of Nikolai, but he can't wait for a day or two. This again creates humor in the drama. According to Smirnov, man is faithful and constant in love, but women are not. That is also another important idea when it comes to the category of contrast, right? Another idea when it comes to the idea of contrast, right? According to Smirnov, man is faithful and constant in love, but women are not. But according to Popova, women are faithful in love, but men are not. This is the fundamental psychological problem that Anton Chekhov tries to bring in the drama. Very simply, anybody can understand this one, right? Very powerful psychological idea can be seen. Don't write the entire quotation, only 2 lines are more than enough. Don't write the entire quotation, don't waste your time. Only 2 quotations are more than enough. Only 2 lines, I'm sorry. Right. I hope that you guys have finished. We will move on. Right. Then we can finish it off. Right. So I am going to erase this. I hope that you guys have completed. Right. According to Popova, women are more faithful and constant than men. That can be also taken as another example for contrast. This creates a lot of humor in the drama. According to her, right, most of the men are unfaithful and women are faithful. Only 2 lines are more than enough. From the behavior of the main characters, one may understand they are about to have a conflict. But the anticlimax occurs in Smirnov soon after he realizes the bravery of Popova. His romantic behavior can be depicted as one good example for humor. This is also depicted using so many appropriate metaphors and similes, which are highly appropriate for laughter, right? So there are a lot of other similes and metaphors as well when we refer to Smirnov's character, right? So you don't have to write your answer in detail like this, but I explained in detail because then you have a clear picture. These are the things that I have to write, right? This is how I have to get ready with my question. Right. So I hope that you finish. Right. You don't have to write them. You don't have to write these things. I will go through in a nutshell because we wrote a lot of metaphors and similes. Don't write this. A real woman, not a soft-faced jelly bag, but fire, gunpowder, a rocket. What a woman! I have never in my life seen one like her. I am lost, fallen into a mousetrap like a mouse. There are a lot of similes. I am off my head. I am in love like a boy. So all these things are actually metaphors and similes, which again can be identified as quotations which evokes humor. So there are a lot of quotations that we can find out when it comes to the drama which evoke humor. Right. So finally, you can finish it off by using the ending part, as you can see here. By referring to all the above quotations, we can come to a conclusion that the dramatist has used number of literary techniques in order to make the drama a humorous play or farce. Right. Now you can clearly come to a conclusion that we discussed about metaphors, similes, contrast, and absurd behavior, irony. Right. All these literary techniques collectively contribute to the laughter, idea of laughter, right? That is why the drama is known as a farce. This is what we call the end of the question. So just as we had some kind of introductory paragraph, we have to write a concluding paragraph as well, right? So you can write down all the literary techniques together if you like here as an example, similes, metaphors, contrast, irony, and all the other characteristics. And then you can say, we can clearly understand there are a lot of literary devices are utilized in the drama in order to make the drama a farce, right? Okay. Then we are moving to the next question as well. The extract from the wave represents the tension experienced by human beings in a disaster. So we are moving to short stories now. We completed all the poems related to 2021 question paper. Then we completed all the dramas. Now we are moving to short stories, right? Now we are moving to short stories. We are discussing 2021 ordinary level paper, which means last year paper. So you can finish it off and you can write down the introductory paragraph of the prose part. I have sent the question to the group, send the question paper to the group. You can download that from the internet as well. 2021 ordinary level literature paper. We are discussing that, right? The extract from the wave represents the tension experienced by human beings in a disaster. Discuss, right? So we are referring to the wave by Sonali Dharaniyagala. After finishing the bear, you can move on to the next question, right? Yeah, you can do that, Toshani. Yes, you can do that. No worries. You can do that, but you will lose marks. You can do that, but you will lose marks because make sure to use one quotation to represent one idea. Now, previously, if you go through this, I did not use these quotations in my metaphors and similes because they are not because this part clearly shows about Smirnov. In the previous one, I discussed about all the characters, right? But these examples can be clearly identified as quotations, which clearly shows Smirnov's love or else his complex human emotions towards Popova, right? We never thought this man will behave like this. He's a lieutenant. He's a strong man, but in front of love, he behaved like a schoolboy. So this quotation is very good example for metaphors and similes at the same time, right? How people become slaves of emotions can be identified by referring to this quotation. That's why I gave that. My advice for you is not to use same quotation again and again when it comes to the questions. Find out different quotations. Quotations are that much important. If you are doing literature, you can't do anything without quotations. So if you have finished the Bear by Anton Chekhov, you can move on to the extract from Wave by Sonali Dharaniyagala. Hurry up. We are in the next question. We started short stories. We have to write 4 short stories. I will answer each and every question. Right. Okay. So we are going to discuss the second target question, not the target question, actually the past paper question. The extract from the wave represents the tension. So what is the most important word that we have attention, my dear students? Tension, right? The tension experienced by human beings in a disaster, right? So this is what we have to pay our attention. There are a number of other themes. You can discuss about selfishness, selflessness, bravery, resiliency. You can discuss a lot of things, but we have to write about the particular theme that they have asked in the question. You can't write any other answers. The particular question that they have asked here. This is what we have to pay our attention. The extract from the wave represents the tension experienced by human beings in a disaster. An extract from wave is a surreal experience of the author who faced the tsunami and lost her all family members, including her father, mother, 2 children, and her husband. The incident ignited tragic experience to her. As a result of that, what actually happened? She tried to suicide herself. As an educated woman in economics, her story reflected the tension undergone by most of the human beings during an unexpected disaster. It was quite politically expressed in her novel. Tension may arise due to several reasons. So tension may arise due to several reasons, right? Tension, or else we can use the word anxiety as well, right? We can use the word anxiety as well. Tension, no anxiety. Both words are similar, anxiety. When people feel insecure about themselves and their loved ones, they feel tension. Sonali also felt same when she realized that she has to save her children from the unknown disaster, and she acted accordingly. There should be a comma. And she acted accordingly. Her only concern was her children. As a mother, her behavior is quite natural. She took her children and tried to escape. So this is what we are going to discuss in the first part, right? As a mother, how she reacted due to her tension. Yes, Puda, it is important to write a concluding part because you have to finish the question properly. You started the question with an introductory paragraph. A concluding paragraph is a must. Right. So as I explained here, first and foremost, I have explained what you mean by tension, as you can see here on the screen. Tension may arise due to several reasons. When people feel insecure about themselves, so Sonali felt that, and especially about their loved ones. Here the loved ones refers to her children. I think you have read the story, right? So loved ones means her children, they feel tension. Sonali also felt the same when she realized that she has to save her children from the unknown disaster, and she acted accordingly. Her only concern was her children. As a mother, her behavior is quite natural. She took her children and tried to escape. This is what happened. So hurry up and write down. We will continue this question next week. If you have finished, you can complete, you can leave the meeting. Saturday, we are going to discuss some target questions related to the Bear by Anton Chekhov, because we finished the drama last week. So we have discussed 2 or 3 target questions from the drama, right? Then we are moving to Fear by Gabriela Mistral. In that poem also, we are going to discuss some target questions. Then after that, we have only 2 poems to go, if I am not mistaken. Then all the short stories will be revised from the very beginning. A tutorial will be sent for that. You have to take the printout of that particular tutorial. All the short stories will be discussed from the very beginning. All the 4 short stories will be discussed. Then make sure to participate Saturday class for Vendor of Sweets by R.K. Narayan. We are going to write detailed description about the 4th chapter. Up to now, we completed 6 chapters. Upcoming Saturday, we are going to write the explanation of 4th chapter, and important quotations will be discussed with the themes and relevant important aspects, right? So if you have finished, you can leave the meeting. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.